All right, but let's go. Where will we go? Where will we go? Asked Slavia. I had no desire to head back to my cabin. Strictly speaking, I didn't want to stay in the camp at all. What would you say if I suggested we return to the forest? Slavia looked at me with surprise. Well, it's just sometimes. Okay, let's go. Time to get naked. I wasn't expecting such a quick response, and I had no idea how to finish my sentence. I was just going to tell her about a feeling I get sometimes. That twitchy feeling in your pants when you want to go somewhere outside of your comfort zone. Right? Isn't his comfort zone like away from other people? At least for a while, at least for a couple of hours. I used to do this before quite often, visiting foreign districts or even neighborhood cities. New places and sceneries calm my heart and help me realize that the world is not limited by my apartment walls or the daily routine to university or workplace. Oh, now I get it. Outside of comfort zone, it's just going to a new place. I really enjoy going to new places. I tried exercising last year, like going out running. It wasn't for me. I kept it up for a month, maybe two. But for me to go out and enjoy nature or scenery or whatnot, it has to be new. Yeah, new sceneries, new places, progression, new stuff to see. Being told to act his age, and something about that. Oh, what it means? It means that teenagers are dicks, assholes. So what it means is, please stop being an asshole. Then, like, being told to act. I don't like that. Fucking ideologues. I talked about this yesterday, I think. Like, ideologies. It's always about controlling people. I don't like that. I mean, I can call someone off for being a dick and an asshole. Like if someone prank calls my mom, well, it depends on what the call is about and how you do it. Prank call can be a lot of fun. A prank call can also be damaging, right? Prank calling someone with PTSD and having war sounds in the background. That's not a fun prank call. But like having someone ask for, I don't know, like I'm not very good at those. I don't remember the pun jokes, the funny names where you get someone to say like eat my ass or something like that. Can anyone eat my ass? I don't know. You know, that kind of prank call is just fun. It's harmless, I think. Well, it depends on context, right? If someone was horrifically kidnapped by a cannibal and the cannibal, like a cannibal psycho, literally ate someone's ass, then maybe it wasn't, it, it wouldn't be that funny, right? In that context. Hi, I'm looking for my aunt. Could you see if she's in the bar, please? Exactly. Exactly. Something like that. Could be funny, like in context again. Mm, mm. Act his age. Oh. And thus, there are people who are doing better or worse than me. And so, my typical problems are not as bad as they appear to be. Oh, there's a good song about this. Tim Minchin song. I shouldn't complain, or something like along those lines. He's singing about how it's answer on the chat. Wait, what? Isn't that the learning dude? Um, Damn it. I've been, let's see, psychologist, yeah. Cognitive development, yeah. Learning. Oh, he has an epistemology view, though, that I have not read. Colgate in on tap says, I don't know, being trapped in another reality seems pretty bad problem. Well, I mean, not for him, not for Semyon, not in this reality. Like, think about this: having the mind of an adult. He's the one who pioneered the idea of developmental stages. Yeah, right, developmental stages. There we go. That's what I thought. That's when you tell people to grow up and stuff. It's stop being a child. Well, I think that's saying that has been older. So being told to act your age, it's a question of how do you actually determine what's appropriate to learn at what age. Yeah. Yeah, it's like we know now that kids like sub 10 having abstract thoughts, it's not really their strong suit, right? Like having abstract philosophical and ethical debates is, I mean, you can try as hard as you like, but they won't really get it. Back to this, like being teleported to a summer camp where it's everlasting summer, you don't have to do anything. I mean, what's the worst he's been told to do, Semyon, here? Like, help to clean up. I mean, you have to do that either way, wherever you are. Banana waffle monkey says stage 4 operational thinking, exactly. But I'm thinking that the song was not about the Piaget thing. I think the song was probably about ideologues, well, or people telling other people how to behave. I don't like that, how to behave. There's no right or wrong in ethics. But this, like, his deal here is quite sweet so far. It's like, let's end up to a place with like only chicks and they all want to have sex with you. It's not so bad. It's not such a big problem, especially since he's depressed and he has nothing waiting for him back home. So where he is right now doesn't really matter that much, I think. So my typical problems. All right, he's not talking about his current problems, but his typical problems. I suddenly smiled. What? She said. Nothing, I just remembered. Never mind, let's go. We headed to the forest, still holding hands. Eventually, we came to a glade, probably the one where we sat an hour ago, or it could be a different one, as I couldn't distinguish one from another. Me neither, they all looked the same for some reason, all the glades. Wonder why. Colgate in on tap says, so far, but it wasn't that good for Semyon ending. Mad Semyon. Yeah, the bad Semyon ending. I mean, Well, there's a discussion in there, I suppose, but in context, then no, probably not a very good ending. But if I remember, it was some time ago I went through that ending. It was, again, I'm talking about choices again here. Like that mad guy said, "Come with me, I'll do this," and then he fell asleep and never woke up, right? I had the choice to either stay or leave, right? So I don't know. Death is usually the worst for the people who are still living. Like the moment of death for a person, it could be terrible, like death, death by fire. Seems like a horrible time. But then again, when it's over for the person. It's everybody else that's that it sucks for, like his parents. But if he's gone, which he isn't because he's waking up at that very same time, but let's say for his parents, it's a bad ending. So this simian doesn't know about loops. No, right? It's only the simian endings, right? If I remember. So far, Simian's route is the only one that we know about the loops. We're not sure that there are loops. Well, we are. I mean, it's a meta thing, right? That the loop, it's we, the player, restart the thing. So we know about the loops, I suppose. Here, he said. She gave me a questioning look. No, let's go further. Okay. After another half an hour of wandering through the forest, we came to a small lake. Nice. What a nice place. You're right. Slavia smiled enigmatically. Oh, time to go to a swim. Oh no, we didn't bring any swimming clothes. Oh no. Then I suggest we stop here. Nice place. I put the sleeping bag on the ground and sat on it. Slavia did the same. What are we gonna do? I don't know. It was your idea to go into the forest. Yes, mine. I had to make a decision again. Yeah, she's just following along, having no thoughts of her own. She's just doing exactly what we want, it seems like. Well, I had absolutely no idea what we could do. We could talk, for example. About what? Oh, come on, don't get so anxious, Slavia laughed. I'm not. I can see you are. Well, it's just because it's fine. As you say, I sighed and stared at the ground. Maybe you can tell me about yourself. Good idea. Whoever, Banana Waffle Monkey here says, whoever has lived long enough to find out what life is knows how deep a debt of gratitude we owe to Adam, the first great benefactor of our race. He brought death into the world. Yeah, I was wondering, where the fuck is this going? Oh, right. He brought death into. Well, I mean, it's a funny quote, I guess, and I mean, life is suffering and all that. But I mean, all the existentialists would disagree with you. Or with Mark Twain, I think. Not all of them, perhaps, but most of them. Like, it's an argument for suicide, right? Mark Twain. All say, how hard is it that we have to die? Strange complaint to come from the mouths of those who have had to live. Also Mark Twain. I mean, the act of, like, when it happens, usually it's painful, right? It's the procedure of death is usually something a pretty awful experience, as far as we know. Like most people die in pain and agony. That is hard, right? There's also all the negative feelings that we are like culturally think about death. I'm pretty sure it stems from not because we haven't died ourselves. However, we have had all the suffering from other people dying, right? It's we, the people who keep on living, who suffers from death, and that's a reason not to like death, I suppose. Mad Semyon would like death, but for him, the only option is more loops. Yeah, and I'm pretty interested in that because I've been thinking like so many other people about the singularity and stuff like that. Like, what about everlasting life? I mean, well, we're speculating here. Let's assume that everlasting life would mean the amount of suffering I'm feeling right now, like not getting old and withering and stuff like that. But you know, that, let's say, like, well, maybe let's make it even worse. Like, let's say 60 years old. You know, I've started to feel this, you know, when you hit your back, like for kids, it's over in like a day, maybe 30 minutes. When you hurt yourself as an adult, I think it's even worse, like in your 60s, it hurts for days, weeks, right? Let's say that kind of living as well. Yeah. I still would guess that there are more things to see. And I mean, in that, like, let's say Mad Semyon here, he who spent years and years and years in this pointless loop, right? Where he's done everything, seen everything. There's no new stuff for him to experience. Then you can always turn inwards, right? That's what I would do. I find meditation interesting. There is always something new to experience. There are people who have sat meditating, like, especially, I think about that, since if you have an everlasting life, like Mad Semyon does in his loops, he doesn't have to eat, he doesn't have to do anything. So what about just going straight out in the forest, sit down, or well, maybe, I don't know, just sit down as fast as possible and meditate. See how long you could do it. Like, what would happen if you just did pure meditation? Well, almost pure. I mean, think everlasting life, then you wouldn't have to eat in this situation because maybe you should eat, but you know, just sitting and meditating for a year, just removing all, just going inwards, just creating hallucinations and stuff like that. I don't know. It feels like we haven't experienced like living for 1,000 years, so we can't say anything about it. Like these Mark Twain arguments and Mad Semyon's arguments that death and like everlasting life would be a bad thing. It kind of feels like Douglas Adams' Puddle. I don't actually, let me not misquote this. I want to do the actual quote. Douglas Adams' Puddle Here we go. Let me do that a bit bigger if you want to read it as well. Here we go. It's a quote on religion, but I feel it's apt here. Get away from me. This is rather as if you imagine a puddle waking up one morning and thinking, just a puddle, a little bit of water on the ground. It's waking up one morning and thinking, this is an interesting world I find myself in. An interesting hole I find myself in. Fits me rather neatly, doesn't it? In fact, it fits me staggeringly well. It must have been made to have me in it. This is such a powerful idea that as the sun rises in the sky and the air heats up, and as gradually the puddle gets smaller and smaller, frantically hanging on to the notion that everything is going to be all right, because this world was meant to have him in it, was even built to have him in it. So the moment he disappears, catches him rather by surprise. So the moment when he disappears catches him rather by surprise. I think this may be something we need to be on the watch out for. It kind of feels like a lot of the suffering in the world is because of death, right? A lot of the suffering and the bad stuff, it's because people die, right? And if people didn't die, like, are we just thinking that if we got rid of all that type of suffering, would people still feel the same way? To have to die, kind of thing. So an interesting Netflix series, that French one, that investigated this a little bit. Oh, but that has been quite a tangent. Let's get back to the story. Simple. What's my age again? Maybe you can tell me about yourself, said Slavia. Well, there is nothing really to talk about. Smooth. It's impossible that there could be nothing of interest in a person's life at all. How so? I'm an example of that. She hesitated. Could it be that you're not telling me something? Like what? I don't know. Like you're hiding something from me. But why would I? How would I know? You'd know better. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't. You said it like, how? Not right. Slavia laughed again. I'm sure that anyone but her would not be so calm here. Banana Waffle Monkey says, well, you're interesting enough to gather a couple of repeat viewers. Yeah, indeed. And pretty good reviews on Steam and stuff like that. I mean, I guess interesting enough. Since he's breaking the wall. Well, and I want to go back to something I said the other day, like being interesting, that's not a quality a person can have, or an object can have, or a subject can have. Like, that's not a quality. Interesting is a subjective thing. I find something interesting, that it's something I do. The interest comes from me, not the thing itself. So Simeon himself cannot be interesting, right? If we're thinking semantically. She can be interested in him, though. That's not for him to decide. Okay, so what do you want me to talk about? Here we go. Well, tell me about yourself. Anything interesting that happened in your life? Like here, anything that you found interesting that happened in your life? Right now, I was definitely sure that there was nothing interesting in my life at all, except for the part where I got teleported like many years into the past and to an everlasting summer. Okay, let me think. I made a smart face. What's a smart face? Is that a smart face? I don't know. When I was a kid, like 5 or 6 years old, I guess, there was a small hut near my family's country house. Yeah, there we go. That's a smart face, Banana Waffle Monkey. Is that Winnie the Pooh doing a smart face? Don't think. Kind of looks a little bit like Winnie the Pooh. The same colors, but not the same hair. Winnie the Pooh have hair? There was a small hut near my family's country house. A solid one, made from wooden boards with tar paper roof. Wait, this doesn't make any sense. The hut is solid and it's made from wooden boards and tar paper roof. That doesn't sound very solid. How about bricks? I don't know. So it could be used as a bomb shelter in case of war. Wait, wooden boards as a bomb shelter? I don't. Colgate in on tab says it's not liquid either. Point taken. However, have you ever seen a liquid hut? I guess what's the thing the Eskimos build? The igloo. The igloo could become liquid, but then the igloo would not be liquid anymore. Well, I heard someone say that glass could be considered a liquid. It's not quite a solid and not quite a liquid. It's somewhere in between the two states. It's because all the glass, like windows, get these waves. Wavy, yeah. Because they float down, kind of. So you could build a hut out of glass, and maybe you could consider that a liquid. Perhaps. I'm stretching it. So one day I was sitting on top of it with somebody and suddenly fell off. And there were beds of strawberries behind it. Strawberries. And during those split seconds that I was falling, I thought, that's it. Grim Reaper had come for me, and my entire life ran through my head. Life just 6 years long, but still. So I fell into those beds and obviously didn't feel anything, as there was plenty of soft ground there. Have you ever had that feeling like, oh, this is it, I'm dead? I've had that feeling once. My life didn't pass through my eyes. It was just struggling to breathe was everything, and it was just that thought, this is it. I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't breathe. And I don't know why. I ran into the bathroom. I couldn't breathe. I desperately just tried to breathe. And so I started drinking water to trying to rinse it out, but I still couldn't breathe after. And it went on for a minute probably without breath. Something like that. It's hard to judge how long it was in that time, but it felt like a long time. And then it stopped. Then I could breathe. Banana Waffle Monkey says, yeah, my psychiatrist called that a panic attack. I've had it twice. Oh, I've never thought that I've had any panic attacks. But that's more hyperventilating kind of breathing, not actual breathing that stops. I managed to deal with it though. I had more than twice. Maybe I haven't had a panic attack because I didn't feel like I was gonna die. I was just panicking, like I can't do anything. I don't know. Maybe I've had so many panic attacks, I'm used to them. Can handle them now. Perhaps not. My condolences. I hope you got something positive out of it. A lot of people from bad situations learn something about themselves. And if it's a good psychiatrist, then that's always good to go to a good psychiatrist. You always learn good stuff. So I fell onto those beds and obviously didn't feel anything as there were plenty of soft ground there. So that's the story. Slavia laughed. That's a stupid story. Oh, but that's so silly, she says. I didn't think so at the time. Valid point. I didn't think so at the time. Interesting perspective thing. And what about now? I don't know. I guess it is fine. Tell me something else. You will call that silly too. No, I won't. I started to think again. Also, I once fell into a pond from a bridge and almost drowned. That's rough. Your stories are all about falling. And I annoyed tone. I told you there isn't much to talk about, so I told you the first story that came to mind. Speaking of which, the lake. Lavius looked at water. Let's go swimming. Called it, didn't I? I'm not really fond of that. Isn't he, though? I don't even have anything to swim in. Oh, no, we don't have any bathing clothes. Oh, come on. He gave me a captivating smile. Well, I don't know, really. Of course, I was eager to agree, but I still hesitated. Oh, come on. Slavia laughed and ran off to the lake, unbuttoning her shirt on the way. Well, I stood up from the sleeping bag and slowly headed her away. When I came closer, Slavia was already splashing in the lake, with all her clothes left lying on the ground. Come here. Well, I'm not sure I want to, I mumbled slowly. Come on, it's fun here. She didn't seem to feel awkward about my presence at all, while I wanted to turn away at first. But here's the question. What is more appropriate here? Oh man, he's so stuck in this mode of thinking. What's appropriate? What does other people want me to do? Oh, it's so sad. Colgate Innotaps says it's a bit insensitive to suggest swimming for someone who just shared your experience about nearly drowning. Exactly, right? Now that you say that, like, I nearly drowned, and she's like, oh my god, let's get into the water. Slight insensitive, right? That's like the third time we've seen her doing something quite insensitive. She did call his story silly as well, which could have been considered insensitive as well. He's very on-the-go oriented. She doesn't think about what's appropriate, right? Is that the lesson he's learning here? Is that the lesson like all of the women has taught him? I don't remember the lesson from then. It was like, if you're depressed, get a girlfriend. It was what I took from that ending. The ending from Alisa was much better. It's like, focus on yourself, like, put in the work, right? Something like this. Banana Waffle Monkey says, wonder if that emphasis on others' perceptions is that East-West thing. Yeah, then what that we talked about for like during New Year's. Yeah. Well, that's not really the thing I'm thinking about. Well, there is probably connections. I was thinking about like peer pressure. Like that's typical, like narcissistic and peer pressure kind of things to be thinking about, right? What is appropriate? What would everybody else think? Not what do I want? Like she invited him, right? The decision is his, and he is thinking, what is more appropriate? According to whom? Maybe that is an East-West thing. Maybe it is because I have grown up in an individualistic culture. I tend toward that attitude that what is appropriate? I mean, sure, we have social conventions that are good to follow. I mean, he's like way... It's so interesting as well because it cripples him. Like he never takes action. Just watching anime, right? Never taking any action. Won't it offend her? Alright. But that isn't the most important thing now. Read. I didn't bring my swimming trunks. And she didn't either. I guess that wasn't the most suitable excuse at the moment. Oh, it wasn't. So, neither did I, Slavia said, with a voice a level quieter. Don't be afraid. I'm not. There's nothing to be afraid of. Liar. So get in. I didn't know what to say. I probably wanted to comply, but with everything happening some other way. Not in such a spontaneous and random manner. Random? I don't know, random. Banana Waffle Monkey says, fun semantic distinction. Nude means unclothed. Unclothed. Naked means unarmed. Or something, sometimes unprepared. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Nude means unclothed. Naked means unarmed. Or sometimes unprepared. Yeah, and it works the same in Swedish, because we have this, like, if I do this and this, I'm not unclothed. I'm just... But I feel naked. I feel naked. It's because I'm unarmed. With my tools of eating and seeing. Oh, I like that distinction. I don't know what the Swedish word for nude is though. Whatever. I probably wanted to comply, but with everything happening in some other way, not in such a spontaneous or random manner. Really, why is Slavia so friendly to me? Friendly? Is that what she is? She's like... She's not trying to hide it, dude. She's flirting. Like crazy. Or is there something more to it than that? Then I really don't get it. Again, he's... Can't imagine someone would care about me. It's up to you, she said disappointedly. Light the fire, then. What for? Because when I'll get out, I'll need a way to dry myself. Oh yes, fine. Really? Oh man. Oh, Semyon. Oh, Semyon. I quickly went back to the sleeping bag, picking up branches on my way. Collecting firewood wasn't a problem at all, but how do I light the fire? I neither had a matchbox nor a lighter or skills. Like every educated person, I knew that it's possible to do it by rubbing one stick against the other, but I've never done it before. Well, I had no other ideas. So, how do we start a fire? Imagery is imagery, says Banana Waffle Monkey. I think I missed something. Kind of imagery? I don't know. But how do you light a fire? It's like you take one bigger log and then a small stick, round kind of thing, and then you get something, then you wrap around it. You hold counterweight against it, and then you drag the two like rope. Some kind of cloth is probably easiest, right? And you just move it as fast as you can to increase the friction as much as you can. And then you put some like dry leaves and like the Swedish word for it is fnäske, but I don't know what the English word is. Like dried, like small branches, like dried grass, dried leaves, and dried small sticks. Like you put that in there to catch tinder, kindling. There we go. Thanks. You put that on. That's how you do it, right? I've never done it myself, but fun fact, that's the name of the most popular dating app, Tinder. All right, because of the metaphor of lighting a fire, like, ooh. Coming in low. Yeah. Tinder the flame. And dropping sticks. Nice. Though I think the point from the start was the fire thing, but now it's just rubbing sticks. I've never been on Tinder, but from what memes tell me, it's just about rubbing sticks. Oh, nice. I started to drill one stick into another slowly. I was lucky that the sticks were dry enough, because otherwise I'd have no chance at all. Actually, I was quite skeptical about my chances, but just after a minute some smoke appeared and a faint fire flared up, dying out a moment later. At least it was clear I could handle this way of starting a fire. I haven't done it myself. I wonder if the author has done it. Because I think a few minutes just rubbing sticks with your hands, I don't think that's gonna cut it. I think you need... Maybe it will. I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't tried. But we're in an everlasting summer world where everything just works out, so let's suspend my disbelief. It took me another 20 minutes, here we go, of suffering, but in the end I had a small fire burning next to the sleeping bag. Alright, I get that, 20 minutes. I was throwing more sticks into it lazily. This is how it turns out. Man can adapt to anything, and so I could probably even survive in a snowy forest. Colgate in on tab says everything except leaving camp. Right, can I? But you can't survive leaving the camp. I mean, this is also that's man can adapt to anything. That's just not true. That's not true at all. Like, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend the movie Into the Wild. It's an adaptation of a true story, I suppose. There were this one guy who really liked going out into nature, you know, leaving society behind, trying to be a hermit, kinda. But he like prepared, he practiced, he adapted, he trained himself, and then he went up north. To Alaska, I think. And to be fair, I think he did survive the winter. But it's like, it wasn't adapting to the snowy forest. He planned and prepared. Like, if someone took me right now, as I am right now, threw me out in the snowy forest out here, I would be dead within the day. There is, like, assuming that I couldn't find my way out, which I probably could, but like trying to adapt, like maybe I could start a fire, but I would still freeze to death. There is no way. But with enough planning, Good point. Colgate on tap says maybe you'd eventually adapt to being dead. Good point indeed. That is, I would adapt to it immediately. Banana Waffle Monkey just walked outside barefoot in the snow. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. Why would you do such a thing? You have shoes right there. They were right there. Well, I suppose just going out with the garbage. I suppose just going out barefoot in the snow, then that wouldn't be so bad. Because you're used to it. Oh, you're one of those going barefoot everywhere? And he's too tired to care. I've actually been thinking about that. I've heard it, like in the periphery, people just starting to going barefoot everywhere, or as much as possible, because you get calluses, I think they're called, underneath your feet, and you feel more connected to nature or whatever. But yeah, exactly. Just feel like being barefoot. Yeah, I get that. I like being barefoot, I really do, but I don't like being cold. And I dislike being cold more than I like being barefoot. My survivalist thoughts were interrupted by Slavia, who suddenly appeared right above me. Wow, you're good. I lifted my gaze and quickly turned away. She was wearing a shirt, but thanks to the dampness, it wasn't hiding much. It wasn't a problem in the lake, but it's quite different when she's so close. And it wasn't a difference when you peeped at her when she was having a bath, eh? So here we go again, what others think are appropriate. As soon as they can see you, but if they can't see you, then you can stare as much as you like. Oh yeah, right, he peeped in the forest too when she was dancing. And she didn't mind then, no? And also, she wasn't naked. One wouldn't get lost with you, she says. Slavia sat with her back against mine. I hope it will dry off quickly. Somehow, I was hoping so too. So what? What? I asked with a muddled voice. Tell me something else. I don't know, really. I mean, he's being super clumsy and annoying and stuff like that, and she just doesn't care. She still wants him, like, all the same. I feel like something was stuck in my throat. Storytelling was definitely out of the question. You've gotten so stiff suddenly. Yeah, that's the problem, like, he's all stiff in all the wrong places, and he doesn't know what to do with it. Really, why would I? It's nothing, just... I had a feeling that I won't be able to just sit like that any longer. Animal instincts were clouding my mind. There we go. He's stiff. You think this is normal? Again, what is normal? So important. What? Sitting like this. What's wrong with it? Seems like Slavia really didn't understand. Well, do you really not get it? I sighed hopelessly. Well, I'm really not sure. Her voice sounded cunning. What do you think? Well, maybe we shouldn't hold back. Her words flashed through my head. She's giving her consent. Something wonderful happened between us, something that I couldn't even dream of 6 days ago. Maybe here it is, the reason for me being in this camp. That was amazing. Yeah, for a while we just lay close to each other. It's getting chilly. Hang on. I unfolded the sleeping bag and we got inside together. Slavia rested her head on my shoulder. Mind if I take a quick nap? I just feel so tired. Again, sure, go ahead. Soon her breathing became deep and steady. The wind quietly rustled the leaves on the trees around us. The grass was swaying next to us, and tiny bugs buzzed annoyingly overhead. Well, says Banana Waffle Monkey, can't run out of bed space on the ground at least. Ah, but you're stuck in a sleeping bag. But if it's getting cold, then the heat will just be a good thing, I guess. Suddenly, I realized this was the best place I have ever seen in my life. I don't know about you, but when I lost my virginity, because as far as I understand, he just lost his virginity. Let's see here. Here we go. That was amazing. Like, she is lying. Right? And, like, when I lost my virginity, it was terrible. I was terrible. It was not enjoyable. It was awkward, and I couldn't, like, it takes practice. Practice makes perfect. You're not natural. You just don't know how to do it well. Yeah, exactly. Banana Waffle Monkey says, could have been worse. It's the best outcome for losing your virginity. Yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. It could have been way worse. It wasn't that bad, but still. Here we are. Everything is just perfect. This is the best place I've ever seen in my life. It's like after it was awkward as well, and thinking that I fell asleep. I opened my eyes and saw the top of an oak roaring above. A strong wind had risen, chilling me to the bone. The full moon was staring right at me. Night has fallen. I couldn't really tell what time it was, but it didn't matter much. Slavia was still asleep. Oh, by the way, just so you know, I'm pretty sure if this ending is similar to the other endings, and it starts looking like they start romancing, I'm gonna rage quit. I won't play the game anymore, because that's just not okay. Mental 25-year-old with a 14-year-old or whatever she is. I mean, here she's 25 and they're 18, 19. I guess that's okay. And he's behaving like a 12-year-old, so I don't know. What's my age again? I don't know, but I'll draw a line if that happens. I tucked in the sleeping bag around her cozily, got dressed and headed to the lake. Colgate in on tap says she behaves like a 7-year-old though. Yeah, 7 to 9, something like that. So does he sometimes. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I think 7 is a bit pushing it for Semyon. Like, prepubescent at the earliest. I headed to the lake. Is he gonna take a swim now? I was really thirsty and there weren't any other options available. Besides, I don't think the water here is poisonous. We're not around Chernobyl or anything. At least I want to believe that. Oh. Thanks. I was kind of assuming that it was. Colgate In on Tap says Uliana Root is about friendship rather than romance. Friendship, and I'm guessing like big brotherhood kind of friendship. I scooped up some water and eagerly dipped my face into my hands. The water tasted so good that it felt like it came from a spring, not a lake. My reflection stared at me, blurred in the water and touched by the moonlight. Oh fuck, it was lunch 15 minutes ago. It seemed to be smiling. Weird, I didn't even notice. Overjoyed, I headed back, fully intending to sleep till morning, and a twig snapped nearby. Ooh, is it Olga? I turned to see what made the noise and saw someone behind a tree. Who's there? I called out, worried. There's no need to scream like that. The voice seemed familiar. I came closer and saw Lena. What are you doing here? Is that a good spot to end then, since it's lunchtime? Yeah, let's end it here. What are you doing here? That's a good question that we'll get to answer tomorrow. There we go. And exit.